The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Discretion is advised.
Welcome to episode number 72 of Rare Form Radio. I am currently your only host, Dan Cleary, and it's good to be here. If you're listening to this week, you probably listened to last week, and Todd made an announcement that he is stepping away for a little while, a long while. We don't really know, and that's okay, you know. Fully support his choice. Sometimes people need to handle other things and do what they have to do. But we're going to keep it going. I'm glad to have you guys here. It's weird. You know, it's weird. I definitely miss Todd already. You know? I met Todd in 2004, I think, probably. That's kind of when the Panic Channel first started kind of coming together. And so Todd was just, you know, Navarro's best friend. He was there. He was always there. So he was just kind of like a guy that you got if you hung with Dave. And, you know, your first time meeting Todd, at least for me, like he's intimidating and he has that standoffish New York attitude, which I appreciate being from the East Coast. So there's kind of an immediate kinship in a way. But his sense of humor was there from the very beginning, which is probably what, you know, bonded us early on. Same thing with Dave and myself. But I really would have never thought that I would get to know Todd super well. You know, when you meet someone, you can never guess the arc of the friendship or the relationship. But, you know, for the first 4 or 5 years, I would only see Todd in passing at Camp Freddy shows or Panic Channel shows, and then very early on in the Jane's reunion, so some Jane's rehearsals and a couple shows. And it wasn't until Dave started Dark Matter back on Indie 103, which I know a lot of you guys go back to those days. And this is weird, I don't think Todd started on that. Did he? Maybe he did. I really should know these things. But, you know, you guys know the story that, you know, one day Dave invited me to come on and promote my band, Grace and Manners, available on Spotify and iTunes. So Grace and Manners went in, we did a couple acoustic songs, and I'm pretty sure Todd was there and Jessica. And, you know, Dave said to me, "Oh, dude, come back anytime." And it's embarrassing, but it's true that I never stopped coming back. And Dark Matter became, you know, the show that you guys know and love. And that's really where my friendship with Todd grew. And I was thinking about this last night, and I never, ever thought about this, but you could hear our friendship and our like relationship on the radio. You can hear that be born and grow over the last 11 years. I have in my possession tons of those old indie shows and the Mohique shows and the T Radio V shows, and was there more? T Radio V, Mohique, Dash, Indie. But yeah, so I got to go listen back and listen to some of those early shows because like there was a time where I didn't know Todd, and that's crazy to think about. But here we are. Todd has stepped away. He's been an integral part of, he's been there every step of the way in my radio, podcast, life, career, whatever this is. He's been there. And I love that guy. I really do. And like I said, I'm sad that he's gone. It could be forever. It could be a month. It could be 6 months. I don't really know. But I didn't really get a huge chance to thank him last week for everything. But thank you, Todd Newman. You're the man. And when him and I felt like Dark Matter was kind of winding down and Dave kind of wanted to shut it down for his own reasons, and he had to step away for a bit as well. Todd and I knew that we wanted to keep going, and we had an idea of the sort of show we wanted to do, a continuation of that, the hive mind of Dark Matter. Nothing being off limits. Anything can be talked about. Anything can be made fun of. Full honesty. We kept some stuff to ourselves, of course, and but for the most part, we've been open books, and we're going to continue to do that going forward. So obviously, there's a little bit of recalibrating that I'm going to figure out, what to do. We're going to do some fun things. We have guests lined up. Later on this show, we have Carre Callaway, who is Queen Kwong. That is her stage persona. Great artist, great singer-songwriter. I was lucky to play in her band for a while. But she's awesome. And she has a new podcast called Never Meet Your Idols, which you can listen to wherever you get podcasts. You guys know the drill. So she'll be up here in a little bit and have some good questions for her. But going back to Rare Form news, I have been thinking a lot about what to do in the interim while Todd is not here. So I can't imagine doing this right now by myself for months on end. And one of the best things about the show is interacting with somebody, of course. And since we don't have phones and we can't talk to you guys directly, what does that leave me to do? So I think I've decided that we're going to do like co-host residencies. You know what I mean? So I want to know what you guys think if you like this idea, but I think I've basically decided that we're going to do co-host residencies. So we'll have someone come in for the month of December, the month of January, the month of February, and then whatever month comes after February, we'll do the same. If you know what month comes after February, let me know. So yeah, I think that could be cool. It gives me someone to talk to and keep doing this, bouncing ideas, bouncing stories off of. It gives you guys kind of like some consistency of getting used to some personalities. And then as soon as you realize you love them, they're fucking gone. Get out. Skedaddle. But then it'll also keep it fresh. So get someone in, do 4 or 5 shows, moved on to somebody else, maybe repeat some depending on how long we do this for. But that's what we're going to do, I think. That'll be fun for me. I've reached out to a few people so far, and it's going to be cool. If you guys have anyone that you would like me to reach out to, I would love to know that as well. Yeah. Actually, the more I talk about it, the more fun that sounds. Having co-host residencies. Okay, God damn it. I think it's decided. That's what we're going to do. Co-host residencies on Rare Form Radio starting probably December, so pretty soon. And we're going to keep the party going too on Patreon. Again, guys, thank you so much for signing up over the last couple months. It is heartwarming. It's fun making extra content. It's going to be harder at the moment to do it, but I'm going to figure out. I know that we owe you an extra show for this month, so we'll get on that. I want to welcome a couple new patrons to the party. Chris Haas, thank you very much for joining, and Cohen Browers, Koen. I'm going to say Cohen. Cohen Browers is too close to the Cohen brothers. Welcome to the Cohen brothers for joining Rare Form Radio. You guys rule. You make great movies. I'm surprised you didn't go top tier because you guys are such great directors and successful, but whatever. It's your choice. No, but seriously, welcome, guys. And everyone that, like I said, everyone who's helped us so far, it's awesome. Like we're going in the right direction. Have a long ways to go until it's like sustainable as far as, having a studio and being able to pay a small crew, and would love to do this full time. It really is a blast. And the reason I want to do this for a living so much, and the reason that Patreon is so important, is because I want to get to George Clooney level. And what that means is, you guys may know this, but there was a famous story a couple years ago that came out, a year or two, about George Clooney throwing a dinner party. And he invited his 14 closest friends he grew up with, and people that have meant a lot and helped him out throughout his career, and basically sent them a save the date and be at this dinner party, come to my house on this date at this time. So his 14 friends, who I believe they all know each other, they must show up at Clooney's house, and each of them is greeted by a briefcase. Is that what it is? Yeah, briefcase. Little handle briefcase. And each friend opens the briefcase, and all 14 guys had $1 million cash in the briefcase. Can you fucking imagine that feeling of just supporting any friend of yours throughout their struggles, letting them sleep on your couch, giving them a ride to an audition or something, and being rewarded in that way, just by doing a good thing that everyone should do, that a thing that friends should do. But yeah, dinner party, $1 million to 14 friends. He recently told the story about it. He had the idea, and the only people that knew about it was his business manager and his assistant. So there's a place that you can go in LA, I guess. I did not know about this, but it's a place where you can go buy pallets of cash. I'm not really sure exactly how you buy cash with cash. I don't know. But you go and you buy piles of fucking money. So Clooney rented a decoy, florist flower van, and with his assistant and a couple security guards, drove to this warehouse and got $14 fucking million in cash and put it in these briefcases, put him in this goddamn flower van, and drove to his house. The terror. Can you imagine? I've driven in my car before with, 10 or 15 grand going to buy a car or something before. And it's so scary because if you get into a crash and it's goddamn fucking yard sale of $20 bills flying all over the goddamn freeway, or the idea of getting robbed, or the idea of getting into an accident and your car lights on fire and you burn up the cash. Too many scenarios, if you ask me. But to have $14 million in a van, and I understand, okay, all right. If you have $14 million in your car in cash, you obviously have $14 million to spare. Right. But still, like what if the security guards decide they want a piece? You can't do shit. You're fucked. They got you. But man, to get to the level of George Clooney, like, I think everybody has had that moment as a kid or an adult. I mean, I still think about it where I want to succeed to a point where you can buy your parents a house, almost before you buy yourself a house. Now, I love my parents, but I would like to have my own house first. They had their chance to do well. They had their chance to start a podcast in the 50s or 60s or 70s. No, they didn't. That's their problem. But goddamn, to have the kind of money to change your friends' lives, wonderful. So that being said, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/rareformradio, sign up, and let's start that march to giving out millions to my friends. That's a joke, of course. But really, do go there. Sign up for our Patreon. There's a few different levels. You get, extended cuts of certain episodes. So sometimes we'll cut the tape and do an extra 30, 40 minutes, sometimes over an hour of extra material on the same show. We'll do offshoot kind of special shows here and there covering certain topics. You'll also get extra, like full-on extra shows on our Patreon. You get thanked in the YouTube credits for certain ones. All kinds of fun little perks and everything. And speaking of the YouTube credits, man, I fucked up. There's a certain tier where you get, tier 2, tier 3. So the Give Us a Steak and the Making It Rain people, you get basically thank yous and YouTube credit on our YouTube videos. At the end, you get your name on there. And I posted a screenshot on Instagram of that screen from the YouTube clip. And someone rightfully corrected my spelling or my misspelling of their name. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. I'll fix that immediately. And then I decided to really proofread what was up there. And there was like 14,000 mistakes. And some of it was done because of not speak to text. No, it is speak to text. When I'm making note of names that we need to shout out on the air, speak to text will write it a certain way, and that's not how they spell or pronounce their name. And there's also autocorrect on the computers, which I can't stand. And sometimes things are just overlooked. So apologies to everyone who has done that. That will be fixed for this episode. And going forward, there will be minimal mistakes, at least not 14,000. That is a promise. Yeah. So if you guys want to interact, you guys know the drill. Go to our Instagram at Rareform Radio and send us an audio DM with a comment or questions. I'll give you guys updates as far as who the co-hosts are going to be coming up. And I really do want to hear who you think. So send me a message, and we're going to have a good time. Stick around for now, and we will be right back with the lovely Carre Callaway, a.k.a. Queen Kwong.
From me, you can get
Welcome back, everybody. We are joined by our guest, the wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Carre Kwong Callaway, a.k.a. Queen Kwong, a.k.a. Carre. Can I call you Carre?
That's a new one. That's fine.
All right, I'm going to go Carre.
Okay.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too. It's been a little bit of a while.
I know. Well, you and I kind of do this thing where we'll do like a coffee catch-up hang every like 6 months, it seems like, right?
Yeah, so we're long overdue.
Long overdue, but so is the world right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're all overdue for some hang time. But I think I saw you. I think our last catch-up was kind of right before the COVID stuff happened, like February, March.
Yeah, probably right
like
before lockdown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how has it been for you? How is it for you finding inspiration for creativity during all this?
I'm not struggling so much with that. I think the only struggle during this, I was supposed to go to England in March to record at my friend Roger's studio. And so I had that planned and I had some touring kind of up in the air. But when all of that got canceled, I found many other ways to be busy. I never have a problem finding things to do.
Really?
I don't have that problem.
Okay.
No, I have the opposite problem. Like I can't get myself to not do things.
Are you one of these people that you love having a bunch of tasks to complete?
Yeah, never ending tasks. It's very draining for me and for everyone around me, I've heard.
Right. I feel like women more than men enjoy having stuff to check off of a list. Like I like
making lists in general.
You do?
I love making lists. Yeah.
That actually, I realized recently that I had like ADHD and I have a really hard time focusing on things. And writing out physical lists has been a game changer for me as far as getting things done, more so than making a note in my phone. If I have like a physical list of a piece of paper on my coffee table to see every day, it has been a total game changer as far as me getting shit done. It doesn't mean I will get it done, but at least it's more in my mind to start doing it.
It's a step in the right direction.
Something, because I'm a massive procrastinator, like massive. And it's
but do you actually, because I am too, but I get everything done, but I wait until the very, very last second. So I just make my life totally miserable by procrastinating till the very last second. But then I do it.
Always living on the edge of your seat. Under the
Keep
crunch.
things exciting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm really good at, which is good, is like I pay bills immediately. So I get a bill.
You have that one on me.
That's it. That's the only thing I'm really good at. Probably in life is paying bills on time.
That's a huge one.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Golf clap.
Thank you. So what's a normal day for you right now?
I'm pretty structured. I wake up around, 8 every morning. And for a while I was working out every day because if I don't have some sort of intense physical activity, I get angry, rageful.
Okay.
So I try to do that every other day, but I spend a lot of so I wake up, do my morning routine, which is usually working out, or I think I alternate working out and I was going to say alternate working out with showering, but that's not true.
You should do both. You should definitely do both.
Wow. I get up, I work out, I shower, and then it's just hours and hours of work. I work and then I eat lunch around 1, and then I work, and then I eat dinner, and then I watch Cheers, and I go to bed.
Let's talk about Cheers for a minute, by the way. Like, that's a show that I watched with my mom and my stepdad and my family growing up, like in the 80s.
Well, you're like Boston. You weren't. Yeah. So there you go.
That was our show. It was about us. And It's so good. And my wife and I started watching it again, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I'd forgotten, because watching it as a kid and watching it as an adult is so different, because they were tackling some major like societal issues back then, which kind of blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it when I was a little kid because it was on. I always had insomnia, like my whole life. I've had horrible insomnia. So when I was a little kid, I would watch Cheers because it came on after the late night, everything, after the news, after the late night talk shows, and it would be Cheers. And now that I'm watching it back, I'm on season 5 now. So I've been watching for a few months, but now that I'm watching it back, I just think about my 7-year-old self watching it, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's same.
Why did I find this entertaining? I don't know,
Right.
you know?
I feel like so many of the jokes must have just gone completely over our heads back then, because it's so like weird little sex jokes and weird little like gay references and racist, like semi-racist or acknowledging racism jokes. As a kid, I was just like, oh, cool, whatever.
I think I just really loved Ted Danson.
I mean, how do you not?
Exactly.
I mean, he's I think
Dad.
People see him in that like the Bill Murray type lens now, where he's kind of like a national treasure,
a national dad.
Yeah, the dad we always wish we wanted, like a womanizing baseball player, you know, that we all wanted.
I definitely had the womanizing dad, but yeah, my dad was not a baseball player.
Right.
But if that were the case, perfection.
Right. So you said you're talking about being busy with work. People know you, of course, from your band, Queen Kwong, which you've been doing for, what, 12, 13 years? For a long time.
Like, as Queen Kwong, I think actually 2008. 12 years.
Yep. And now you have a podcast called Never Meet Your Idols, which is really great and such a good idea. And
Thanks.
I'm surprised it's not something that someone had done yet.
I was surprised too. I had to Google research it because I was thinking someone must have already done this, but they hadn't. So, I have the podcast with my friend Laura. She's one of my best friends. She's in the band Blood Red Shoes, and we've toured together. And we had been talking about doing a podcast for a while. She's in the UK, but I think the great thing that came out of quarantine is there was no excuse. There was no more excuses to not have the time to do what you've been putting off, you know? So it's like, okay, we should do that podcast that we've been talking about doing for the last year. So we started that, and it's just basically us talking to musicians, famous musicians who, about real life stuff. It's not really like, let's interview you about your music. You know, it's more just, let's get real. And that's been fun, but it's been a lot of work.
Yeah. I know.
Because it's just, as you know, and we edit every episode ourselves, and I make little promo videos, and it's just a lot of work. So there's that. I also developed a bath and skincare line.
That was my next question.
An all natural CBD bath and skincare line with another friend of mine here. And we developed all the products, and had been working with a chemist in a lab for the last year. And then when COVID hit, we thought we were really screwed because it was like not a good time to start a new business. But then everyone has been so focused on self-care, and with everything, I think there's more focus now on the environment and sustainability and all natural products. And so we've been trying to use that to our advantage, because that's what our line is all about. So it's called Bath Cult. And I had to figure out how to do coding to build the website. I mean, everything from, branding, everything. So I started getting a knack for design work, and I graduated from college a couple of years ago for writing. So I'm putting those skills to writing copy and, that kind of stuff. So we launched that last week. And that's a full-time job too.
Where can people find that stuff?
Right now it's pretty much all online. It's shopbathcult.com. and we're on Instagram, etc. We have a third product coming out in a couple days, and we're going to have Black Friday, whatever. I guess this episode airs after Black Friday.
It will.
Okay, so we have a new product coming out.
It'll air on Tuesday for our Patreon people, and then Thursday for everybody else. So if you listen Thursday, get on it right away.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have holiday sales for the gift sets, but we're really trying to push that. That's been my main focus, honestly, because I think, I don't know if you feel similarly, but I've talked to other musicians and people in music and who were touring a bunch, and COVID was kind of that push to do something else. I think we've all been thinking about it, like, is this rock band touring bullshit sustainable? I'm in my 30s now, and I'm like, is this really what I want? Every year I'm like, I really need to stop. Every day I'm like, I really need to stop with this. It's just, I want something that's more sustainable and less like just the grind and the hustle, and of course, starting a new business and going into skincare and beauty is a grind and a hustle as well, but it's not the same. And I think building a business like this, it's more structured, and it's not just, I don't know. I feel more like an adult.
I can totally relate, because I've been wanting to get off the road for a few years, actually. I even announced a retirement, which lasted until the next time I was offered a tour. And I was
every tour is the last tour.
Of course.
Yeah.
I want to stop touring. I want to stop working for bands. I want to do my own thing. I want to work on this show. I want to be with my friends and my family. And then, bills come in, and tour is offered, and it's with people that you love. And it's not, I feel like, how they say that women give birth and you forget the pain.
Do they say that women give birth?
No, they do. When women, you son of a bitch, that when women give birth, your mind makes you forget how much it hurt. So you do
it again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like touring in a way is like that, where you forget how tiring it is. You forget how weirdly lonely it can be, but you can also feel like you're in a gang out there. And that's the stuff I miss, is the camaraderie with, the band people and the crew, and you get into a rhythm, and as soon as you get in the rhythm, you go home. But I always seem to forget the bad stuff until I'm out there. And then you have a cold and you're in Europe on a shitty bus and you're sick for 3 weeks. And
this exactly a year ago, I was in Liverpool. I was on a UK EU tour exactly a year ago. I came back super sick. I tour really hard. How I tour is really unhealthy,
You don't do a whole lot of days off either.
No, it was I think 25 shows in 30 days, and we're driving ourselves. We're our own crew. We do everything, it's just insane. All share one hotel room, you know.
For perspective, by the way, if you're listening to this, a normal band, a household name band will go to Europe and do a couple shows, have a day off, have a couple days off, stay in. Everyone has their own hotel. You get there with plenty of time for the next show. No, but any band who's grinding and
there's no middle class with it. It's
right. Yep.
when you're on that upper tier, which is just 2%, the 2% or whatever, then you're not driving yourself. You have a crew, just show up for lobby call, show up for sound check. But that's not how it is if you're the other 98%, because especially for me, where actually my audience is primarily overseas, but it costs money to tour overseas. So we really can't afford to take days off.
It's not a vacation. You're there to work.
Yeah. We have to, and selling merch is actually we get more money in merch than we do for the show fee. So it's just, the more shows, the better, the more pushing, the better. So the more cities, the better, but it's
it'll wear you down.
Yeah.
And over the last few years, you've also come into some weird health issues, which could not have been predicted, which I imagine makes the touring even more difficult.
Yeah. I think it was just 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, which is known for being a fatal disease. I think the average life expectancy is 40. And considering I mean, you've seen me play. I don't know how many people listening have seen me play, but I play a very physical, wild show. And when it's, I mean, to say the least.
Yes.
So
yes.
25 shows in 30 days, driving myself, being my own crew, et cetera, performing the way I perform. It doesn't make sense that I'm even alive at all, and like that I have this lung disease where I shouldn't even be able to breathe. Doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense. I think my CF is a mystery to myself and every specialist thus far who I've seen. But yeah, it's created, I definitely think twice about things now. Just, yeah, I think there's that every time I've toured in the last couple of years after getting that diagnosis, I've had to think, am I literally taking time off of my life?
Jesus.
So it's strange. However, I also think it's kept my lungs strong to be that active and that physical and sing the way I do. So I think but you're right. I think a lot of people who are done with touring or know better, like get to a point where it's like, I know that this isn't really the healthiest thing for me. You decide that, and then another tour offer comes in and you just keep putting off the retirement, know?
Right.
And then I think COVID just made everybody think maybe it's time to really figure out that other plan.
Yeah, unless you're in those top tier bands where you can afford to just like sit home for a year and pay your crew for a year and live on residuals and whatever it is, but everyone else has to like get creative. So
I've always done 100 things. I've never just it's like I was going to school full time while touring. While I had a TV show, while I had a cat rescue. I mean, I definitely load up my plate. So.
We are very different people. I love having nothing to do. Like my perfect day is waking up and like, okay, I don't have to do anything all day and I'm good with it. I like it.
Yeah, that stresses me out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my wife is the same way. She wants to wake up 6 a.m., 7 a.m. and just go. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like having nothing. You mentioned how the majority of your fan base is in the UK. How did that happen? Because you're from America. You're from what, Colorado? Is that right?
Originally, yeah. I think a few different reasons. First of all, it actually happened because of your last podcast with Dave Navarro, where I think at that point I got a few really key fans from the UK from Dave, like fans who had followed your podcast with Dave, and they started following me and they actually pushed for my music to be played on BBC Radio. And it was.
Holy shit. That's amazing.
And there was this huge demand for me over there. So I went over there to play some shows and they like sold out immediately. It was great. And next thing you know, I'm like on BBC Radio 1, Radio 6. I have a bunch of fans over there and it just grew from that. And I play, my music's pretty chaotic and wild and heavy. And I don't think there's been that much of a market for that here in the US. In the UK, they seem to really embrace rock and especially like women rocking. And I think there's a history of that though, in terms of American rock groups hitting in the UK first or hitting in the UK, but, and never hitting over here.
Right.
So it was kind of strange because I was like cover of magazines, centerfold of, rock magazines in the UK, played Reading and, whatever. And then coming back here and not even being able to, get 50 people into the Silver Lake Lounge or whatever. Right. But I don't care, whatever. The shows are way more fun in the UK and Europe, in my opinion. So
I was just about to say that those shows must have been so fun playing for those people in London oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
What did you say? Yeah.
I said those shows must have been so fun in Europe for you. In London and playing in front of those people must have been great.
It's the best. I mean, that's the thing is, I think London, the UK is my biggest market, and then Germany, France, the Netherlands, et cetera. And I think there's just something about audiences over there where they just are more carefree. They just let go, kind of. There's not so much of a, like, we're too cool to, get into this. It's very physical and people are really rowdy. It's great,
There's also still over there a real appreciation for, like, not necessarily punk rock music, but punk rock attitude, music, which is what you've had from the beginning.
Forever.
So, like, your songs run the gamut. Like, I made a couple notes earlier. Like, the song Cold Daggers and Fool's Gold are like great examples of your spastic, crazy, like
balls to the wall,
heavy, and then you have song like, my favorite song of all time is Strange Fruit. That's my favorite song you've ever done.
Thank you.
And Sucker, and like you have these kind of songs that are more like oh my god, the Fade Into You person, Mazzy Star, like those have like a Mazzy Star type feel, and so people that can go see you can see these drastically different styles of music in the same show, and you'll go from climbing on the rafters and climbing all over the stage and standing on your own guitar and taking your mic into the crowd to having these beautiful moments. And it's cool. Like, your show is really, really great. And
thank you. I mean, I actually think that's worked against me in some ways commercially, in terms of commercial success, like not being able to be put in a box, especially US and like the US market and radio. They really want to be able to identify you as one thing and compare you to one kind of thing.
Right.
And having such a range of material, I thought, I didn't ever think twice about it because it's just me. I mean, everyone is multifaceted,
Yep.
But it was really hard for people to kind of wrap their heads around how to market me or my identity as an artist. And it's just bizarre that we're so hung up on that.
Like,
now,
it makes sense why a business would want to be able to do that, but the fact that they can't accept that that's not the case for so many artists is a drag. So they'd rather just let you die, let you go away, and find someone else they can put to fill that gap.
They have. Thanks for rubbing it in.
I've been there too. I mean, I did a showcase when I was in 2002 or 3. I was in a rock band, and we did a showcase for Capitol Records, and our singer fell down drunk in the first song of the showcase. And we were meeting with Andy Slater, who is the president of Capitol Records.
Yeah.
And he said to us afterwards, like, you guys are going to get a deal, just not with me and not today. And the next day he signed the Vines. So it was either going to be us or the Vines. I mean, they didn't have a long career, but they had a couple huge songs. And so
it's funny. I mean, that the industry is so, because you just miss that,
Yep.
And I think timing is the hardest thing, that it's never worked in my favor. I've been in a lot of the right places at the wrong time.
Right.
And I think, I had Sub Pop turn me down because I was too 90s sounding and the girl rock thing had already been done. I mean, that was in 2012. And the next thing you know, now everything's 90s and it's all girl rock, and it's crazy, and then I've moved on and evolved as an artist to other things. And I'm like, damn, if I still would be playing that shit I was playing, 10 years ago. But I just never chased trends. But it's hard because if you don't fit in at that right moment, and then it's also that curse of kind of being an artist. A lot of people, a lot of big musicians and industry people have straight up said to me, huge managers, huge labels, huge rock stars, like, that I'm their favorite artist. But what would they do with me? They don't know. So they're not going to, it's like, you're my favorite artist, but I'm not going to sign you,
it's almost like you're not allowed to blossom and become something else until you've succeeded at one thing.
Yeah.
And people accept you for this one thing before you can branch out. And it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Because people miss out on great things like Queen Kwong.
Enjoying the podcast? If you'd like to show support for Rareform, there are a couple of ways. Become a patron at patreon.com/rareformradio. Make a one-time donation or choose from a few subscription levels paid monthly for extra benefits. Those extra benefits include bonus episodes not available to the public, exclusive live streams, more interactions with the gang, along with other special perks that will change over time. Choose your level of donation and know that your contributions go to keeping the show running and growing, paying crews behind the scenes, and just supporting independent artists. That's patreon.com/rareformradio. You can also get Rareform merch by going to rareformradio.threadless.com. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all kinds of silly shit. We're constantly adding new things and limited time only goodies. That's rareformradio.threadless.com. You can also help build the show by subscribing, leaving a review, and most importantly, leaving us a rating on iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Lastly, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram by searching @RareformRadio. Thanks for supporting independent entertainment.
I was in your band for a little bit.
I know you were. That's what I was going to say. You got the full picture.
It was really fun. I got to say, it was a 3-piece. It was you, me, and Ben Hallett played drums.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, I don't remember, why did I leave? Did I quit? Did you get rid of me? Did you restructure the band? I don't remember what happened.
Knowing me, I probably got rid of you.
Right.
I mean, no, I there's never, I mean, let's be real. That's just kind of like,
I don't care.
There's never a reason. Like, I remember you definitely being probably the most capable bass player I had in the band, maybe ever, until now. Wait, I know this.
It's your song called Bitter Lips.
Oh, yeah. I hated playing that song.
You did? That was my favorite one. That was my favorite one.
I never like playing the songs that everyone else likes. That's why it's a pain to be in my band, I guess.
Of
course.
I
think every tour, I always switch up people. I always have different, and then at that point it was a 3-piece, and then I decided I wanted to be a 4-piece and not even play guitar. And it's just a constant, revolving whatever. And I also was every other year quit music.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if I was just like, the band's over,
Right.
Because in my mind it was for a little.
Literally, I started like when I talked to you last week about doing the show, I started like going through the mental Rolodex and trying to think about stories. And I was like, how did that end? I couldn't remember at all why it ended or how it ended, but I did enjoy my time. It was neat to step into something where I was just kind of filling a role and learning parts. And then you were also open to, you were cool because there were songs that were written and songs that were recorded. And you said, here's the songs, learn them. And if there's stuff you want to add, feel free to kind of embellish. Like you allowed the people that you play with to kind of like do their own interpretations of your songs, which is generous.
I've changed that.
I believe it.
That's no longer how I learned my lesson with that.
I was going to say, like, there's obviously everyone kind of knows your ties with Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails. And Trent has always had this way of, you do a tour, get rid of everybody, reload up with new people, and was very much like, you play this like this, or I will find somebody who will play it the way I want it to.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because Trent actually, for being my quote unquote mentor, whatever people want to call him.
What would you call him?
I mean, dad? No, no. I understand.
A mentor it's not a bad thing. A mentor is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. I think the problem with saying like Trent Reznor is my mentor, I understand why people would say, the age I was when I met him and how he totally did take me under his wing. It makes sense. I think the only hesitation on my part to call him that is I think then people assume that my music's going to sound like his. Mm-hmm. And it never has really. There I think people have pointed out similar elements like arrangement wise or noisescape wise, but otherwise like I was never even a big Nine Inch Nails fan. It's a very strange kind of combo, the two of us. However, he is my mentor when it comes to advice in terms of like business advice, band advice. And one piece of advice that he gave me that I still think about all the time and made me really switch up band dynamics. As he said, it's not a democracy. I think it's one thing when you get into a band with a group of friends and it starts from scratch all organically. That's not how Queen Kwong ever was. It's always just been me. It's been my thing, my vision, whatever I want it to be, whenever I want it to be. Mm-hmm. So I had to, he told me that like the band is not a democracy. This is your thing. You need to make it known that that's how it is. And not everyone's into that, which I understand, but it definitely sets a clearer boundary because I've gotten really screwed, not being clear enough with that stuff, especially a few years ago, the lineup I had, and it was very distracting. And I learned my lesson. And now I do have really amazing people in the band who, the best, it's just been the best, honestly. And the last couple years, and they really are into what I'm doing genuinely, and they play their parts and they play them. It's funny because they're better musicians than I am, like they basically, I play it while I write it and record it, but then I never remember what it was. I never play it again. And they're able to play my parts more consistently than I could, and do it really well. And they don't try to embellish too much or be like, oh, now guitar solo. It's like, which I just can't. I can't. But I think really my bandmates now are just, everything's based on instinct. And I don't know if you experience this playing with me, but I've heard from people who played with me that I'm a huge pain in the ass, like constant kind of panic attack while you're playing with me on stage, because you just never know. It's so unpredictable.
I remember the hardest part was right before the show, like leading up to getting on stage is when you're kind of like, I remember like doing your paces and being like, I don't know. Kind of, that's how I felt. You never know
now. Yeah.
But on stage, it was like, I probably only did maybe 5 or 6 shows with you, but they were explosive and fun. And I also really enjoy the unpredictability. Especially
if you're into it, it's great. But there are musicians I've met who are not into it, where if I miss where I'm supposed to sing, or I sing the wrong thing, which I do all the time, by the way, they get all like screwed up and they're like, you messed up. I didn't. And they miss their cues.
Just follow.
Like
figure it out.
Exactly. That's figure it out. Right. You would think it's like instinctual, but
that's the best thing about like when you get the right people and you learn how to read each other on stage without saying anything. Like as a bass player,
it's magical.
Right. You look to the drummer for like, what are we doing? And like, if you have the good people, they can just, the way their eyes look, what they're saying. And like, we're going to go into the chorus here. Like she missed this or he missed this. Let's do this. And like, there's no words. It's a beautiful, like.
It's amazing. I miss that.
Yeah.
For
it's
sure.
A good thing.
And it's taken me a really long time to find a whole band of people like that. And it's truly like inexplicable and a game changer to be able to go into shows without having to worry about what anyone else is doing. They just, I have a lineup of people who just know. They just know me,
Is this the band? Are you talking about the band that I saw in Vegas a couple years ago when you played?
Without that drummer, but the same girl guitarist, Elise. And then she's rad.
I want to talk about her for a minute because.
She replaced Wes.
Okay.
And she's way better of a guitar player, clearly, and way more awesome of a person. So, she's rad. She's
That's
just so
what I
rad.
want to talk about. She is so fun to watch, a fantastic guitar player, so much vibe and charisma up there.
And totally respectful of me though. I was always afraid of having another girl in the band because everyone, we're pitted against each other, especially in the entertainment industry. And she just totally not like that. She's truly like a sister to me, but she's super protective. She wants the best for me. She supports me. She lifts me up, she's never trying to be weird or steal the show or anything. And it's really cool. It's so cool to have another woman in the band who it's just like my sister. Like we're just there for each other.
You took the word out of my mouth. I was going to say that watching you guys, there was such a chemistry where it's a real sisterhood. It's you lean on her, she leans on you. It's you guys have fun. You seem to have a lot more smiles during the show than you used to have. Maybe because you're not worried. You're not worried about what's going on behind you.
Not at all. I mean, not at all. I have her on guitar and my friend Drew on bass, and they live in different. He lives in Nashville, she lives in Michigan, and we just meet in the UK at our first show, and we hit the ground running. And they're awesome, and they're responsible, and they're mature, and they get it done, but they're also so much fun. And we do have a really great vibe. And Elise is just, she's so super talented, like technically so skilled, which I don't have at all. Like she's really like, she's such a skilled musician. But she also can just let go and surrender to the vibe and surrender to instinct. And I talking about this now, and now I'm like, I have to go back on tour.
That was my plan the whole time. That was my plan.
God. Now you've got me back to wanting to go on tour. Yeah. But yeah, she's great. And we actually end the show now, just the two of us. I think when you saw us in Vegas, was that, opening for Nails, right? In
2018, I think, right?
I don't know if we ended the show like this, but now we usually end the show with just the two of us kind of making noise and all manipulate her pedals. And it's just,
oh yeah.
Know,
now you gave me a memory. I went and saw you played that, what was the name of that weird little place in LA with all like the ropes on the walls and boat wheels. Oh my
God, yeah. I forgot that was crazy.
Someplace downtown.
Downtown, yeah.
But you went fucking insane that night. You were climbing all over stuff and going.
I mean, there's so much to climb.
There was a lot. You were very busy. And you guys definitely ended that show where you're on her volume pedal and her wah-wah and you're doing all the effects. And it's just like a super organic, completely, you couldn't recreate it if you tried. It's different every night, and it was cool. Drew, I don't like.
The bass player? No, you need to replace him.
And there's the reason why. He plays great. He seems very friendly, but the bass is way too fucking high. He's got to lower that thing.
He's a dad at heart,
I mean, like the only way it could be worse is if he was playing a 5-string, but he's got it. It's just like it's up here.
Or it could be. It's that extreme though. It's like either up here or those guys who play it at their like feet.
That's better. Like Ben Shepherd. Ben Shepherd from Soundgarden has the lowest bass hang I've ever seen, and it's great.
Yeah, I think there's a happy medium.
When it comes to writing songs, do you prefer writing the wilder stuff, or do you prefer writing the slower, more kind of ethereal stuff, or does it completely matter?
Doesn't matter. There's no. I mean, I don't write anything until I'm writing it and recording it. Like I don't pre-write anything. So it's just whatever is in the moment.
What comes easier?
I think I've always been naturally I was going to say able to just write that singer-songwriter song like Sucker, where it's like a really strong singer-songwriter song that I've always been kind of against because I'm just like, boring. No, like, oh, like another girl like crying about her diary or whatever, like but I do think that stuff has come more easily in the past in terms of just like sitting down and writing a song. But since I don't really write like that, it doesn't matter. I started writing a rap record.
I remember you told me about this at our last coffee date.
Yeah. And that came surprisingly easy for me. Like the words were just like I'm able to just, I already record like that. Everything's kind of ad-libbed. So I think I do my best. I think it's just easiest for me just to be on the spot.
I mean, I've always said that you're basically the Eazy-E of Asian American women.
I don't know if that's saying much because are there any other Asian American? I mean, how many Asian American women am I competing with? I'm like the only Eazy-E.
That's why it's your time to shine. Yeah. You have no competition. I was watching. Are people going to hear that rap record at any point? Are we going to hear that?
I mean, I hope so. I don't know though. I mean, because to be honest, I am not really focusing on music right now.
Mhm.
It's just not, I need to make money.
Mhm.
I'm focusing on survivalism, and making music isn't making money right now.
Mhm.
So if people go buy a bunch of my bath products,
Bath cult,
shop
everybody.
bath cult,
Yeah.
shopbathcult.com. If you guys go buy enough of that, then maybe I'll be able to take a break from worrying about making money and
Mhm.
make music instead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hope I could at least do a couple tracks, you know,
Mhm.
or at
Do
least
you,
release the lyrics.
Right.
'Cause I have a lot to say. I have a
You do
lot
have a
to
lot to
say.
say. And you played me one song, and it was about a very particular thing. Can we talk about it? It
I
was
don't
about
even know what you're referring to right now, but
it was about a relationship to a person who was in Limp Bizkit.
oh, my marriage.
That thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that the marriage that happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You came down with a marriage.
Oh, you heard that song.
Yeah.
I think those are pretty good lyrics. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
very like to the point, right?
Yeah. You didn't really mince words, which you don't usually
No.
do.
Mm-mm. I didn't leave any like room for interpretation.
Right. Right. Nothing was left to the imagination.
No. Yeah, I'd love to release that. If I release any rap song or any lyrics, that will be the one.
I miss the days of CDs where you could have like hidden tracks where you could remember when you used to be able to like rewind behind the first track on a CD?
No.
Yeah, it's either a Nirvana song, maybe it's a Nails song. There's something where you put on track one and you hold down rewind and it rewinds behind track number one.
I had no idea. I must have missed so many secret tracks.
So many, the best songs were the behind track one. But I think that song that you played me would be a good hidden track somewhere.
Why does it have to be hidden? I think I should lead with it.
That's what I was going to say next. You should lead with it.
Lead with it.
A one song record and just put that on there.
Or you know what? I'll just like read the lyrics. Let me pull them up right now, and I'll just read them. I'll just recite them.
That's perfect. Yeah. I think people know like your marriage to Wes it didn't pan out as many marriages. As many don't. I'm gonna tread lightly. I don't know how to talk about it.
As many don't, and as many to Wes don't. You know what I mean? Like, not only do most marriages not pan out these days, but none of Wes's many marriages have panned out. So you would think that I would have, that would have been enough of a red flag. But you always like to think that you're going to be the one who it's different with.
Sure. And there were good times. I mean, I remember there were times when I would talk to you and you were like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. This is, we get along great.
Well, I mean, that's the great mind fuck about it is like, it was all legitimately like perfect good times until suddenly it wasn't. Like our relationship didn't take that natural, like downward gradual, our marriage is going downhill. Like we're aware of this, we're fighting a lot, there's problems, we need to talk it out. It was, our marriage is great, our marriage is over, like bam, within 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to go too far into it, but I talked to you a decent amount during that. And we had a pretty kind of emotional coffee date after one of those things. And it really did sound like it was like just the most blindsiding thing ever. Mm-hmm. I was worried about you.
Thank you.
I felt for you.
I think actually I remember talking to you and feeling really supported and great walking away from it, because I think when I came back to LA and a lot of my friends who either knew of Wes or knew Wes, like a lot of them chose to stand by him and kind of ghost me or not even acknowledge it was really strange. I think just it's the entertainment industry. It's Los Angeles. He's, more famous, whatever.
People angle. People have to angle with their
exactly.
Who are you going to tether to? Like the girl
tethered to the more famous one,
right?
Even though he's famous for being in the worst band in the world, but whatever suits people. I don't know. I didn't know he was in System of a Down as well. Oh, there is System of a Down. I still think Limp Bizkit's worse.
Yeah.
And I was open. I'm probably, if people don't know anything about me, I probably coming off as sounding really bitter, but I've always talked shit about Limp Bizkit. That never even when I was married to the guy.
Oh, you're the one.
Yeah. But yeah, it was nice there's you and a couple other people who were just like, no, this is wrong and this is fucked up and it's not, we're not going to pretend otherwise. And that meant a lot at the time because there were a lot of friends who kind of just went like, like it was, and there was a definite right and wrong. There wasn't a gray area with this situation.
Well, that's what seemed pretty apparent to me. Everyone's had friends that break up and you're friends with both and you're like, it just kind of didn't work.
You don't want to take sides.
Sure, because there was no one at fault, really. But this didn't seem that way. And also, I know Wes a very, very, very tiny bit. I've known you for a long time, and I feel like I know you relatively well. So it was a no-brainer for me. And
thank you.
That's fine. I mean, seeing how hurt you seemed to be by it, I knew that it was real. It wasn't. You're not an exaggerator. You're not a dramatic person.
I usually downplay shit, right. But this was a total mind fuck. Mm-hmm. But I think, you live and learn, and still trying to figure out what I learned from it. Never trust anyone again.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, would you get married again? Or are you gun shy about that? Or does marriage matter to you now? Like, where are you at as far as relationships?
Actually, that is maybe the one good thing that did come from it was, surprisingly enough, I really, it made me really, this is so weird to say, it made me realize that I really am into marriage.
Really?
I take marriage extremely seriously. I enjoyed being somebody's wife, which is also kind of hard to reconcile who I am in a lot of other ways and be saying that right now. I really value the commitment and the partnership and the kind of like, we are in this together. We are doing this together. And that's just how it is. Like, we're committing to this. That's how it is. And I don't think people take commitments very seriously these days, and attention span, and the grass is always greener. And there's like, it's hard to find that kind of commitment in people. So I do think, surprisingly enough, that it made me realize how I am marriage material.
I love it. It warmed my little heart. I did not expect that answer from you. I kind of expected to be like, never again. It was awful. I learned my lesson. I'll never trust.
I'll never, trusting is going to, I already had trust issues, and this really, trusting is going to, it's hard. It's going to be hard forever. However, I will never get married again to another person like that. But I do want to get married again.
Do you mean no one else from Limp Bizkit, or just no one of that personality?
I think you kind of have to have that personality in order to be in Limp Bizkit, I've learned. Fair. Yeah, hand in hand.
I hear you. In the good times, like, what was it like being like creative with a partner, with a husband, like being in a band together, working on music? Was it mostly positive, or is that tough to kind of separate, or was it not separate? Like, how does that work?
I mean, I guess it wasn't. I thought at the time.
Sorry, real quick. Sorry, if people don't know, Wes kind of played in Carre Kwong for
he was my
guitarist.
Yeah, for a couple of years. And he mixed my first record, I think. And anyway, you know what? I realized later. I think the last conversation we had, Wes and I had, I realized that it wasn't a creative partnership. And I'm able to see that now. I thought at the time it was more of a creative partnership, but then I realized that it was just him doing what I told him to. So it wasn't much of a collaboration, to be honest. And I thought that was understood and accepted. And later found out that I was really resented because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think mixing work with romance and work with even it's hard enough even with friends, like to work with friends, you know. But I think I've learned that the male ego is so fragile to the point of it being dangerous. You know, like I think the male ego is going to end the world.
What a woman thing to say.
I'm kidding. You're self-aware enough to know that, like,
You're
it
totally
is
right.
bad news. Like so many of the world's problems and conflicts, it's male ego. And I'm not even like a man hater, you know, it's just, I'm being realistic here. And this is one of those situations where you also, if you give a man a little bit of power, a man who's insecure and has really, really deep-seated, you know, insecurities and really fragile ego, and then you pair that with some wealth and some fame and some power, it's like such a toxic, scary, dangerous combination.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that it was really cool how we could collaborate and tour and play music together. And then I came to realize, you know, that that's not what it was, you know. Right. But at the time I believed in it and I thought it was great. But that's not what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you did get some good music out of it. So at least.
Well, he didn't write any of the music.
No, I mean, as far as recordings go, like it was.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had our own studio too. And there's a lot of, I mean, listen, I married him. There's all I wouldn't have married him if there weren't a lot of redeeming qualities that I believed in at the time, you know. I believe they were real at the time. And as much as there were things, of course, that were rewarding, especially when it came to being able to set up a whole music studio and just kind of geek out on noise and sound and gear and synths and guitars, and that was amazing. I don't think that people I felt really lucky. Yeah,
I mean, you had for what you do, you had an adult playground in your house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I felt really lucky and inspired.
Yep.
And I miss, you know, now that I don't have any of that, it's a big hole in terms of, not like a hole in my heart or my soul or anything, but a hole like, I can't just go create or go do that, you know?
Right.
But I still think I came out on top, considering I don't have to deal with all the other bullshit that came along with it.
Fair. Well, I'm happy.
You keep the guitars and your crazy bullshit.
Right.
You know, like,
I'm leaving. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah.
I want to ask you kind of one more creative question, and then I'd like to get to some listener questions if that works for you. Over the last few days, I've been watching almost all of your music videos that you've done over the years. And when I think about you, I do think of you as a very, you have strong opinions. You're not afraid to speak up for yourself. You're a strong individual, and it's.
Thanks, Dan.
No, I mean it.
I mean, you've seen me at my weakest points too, so thank you.
I have, but also crying and being depressed and sad is not a weakness. You know, let's be clear about that. There's a
true.
You gain so much strength from going through stuff like that. Where I'm sure you're stronger now than you were 5 years ago in many ways. You know.
Yeah.
But like your music comes through. The way you speak is you're confident, and you have, like I said, you have strong opinions. In your music videos, a lot of them are like sort of sexual, and you're in very like vulnerable situations. And I think
I'm dying in a lot of them too, or
you're dying,
almost dying. Yeah.
You're dying. You're in peril. Like you're never just like drinking tea and having a great time. There's shit going on. And I was curious if the vulnerable portrayal in music videos came from you or the director's ideas. And I also want to know if you've ever directed your own videos.
I've directed almost all of them.
Okay.
So almost all of them I've directed. All of them I've been an art director, creator, collaborator. They've all spawned from my ideas. I've edited. I think all of them, maybe all but 2 I've edited. So yeah, I'm behind a lot of that. And to be honest, a fan of mine, I think, tweeted at me the other day saying something about like, how come you're always dying in your music videos? And I didn't ever put it together before then. I think there is just this, it is a vulnerable, I think there's that juxtaposition of having a powerful piece of music or saying something really powerful, and then wanting to show a different side, like the other side of it. You know, it's not just like, I'm here and I'm going to, like anthem and make my speech and whatever, go on a power rant. I think there's a balance. There's a juxtaposition. I don't know why it's gotten so extreme in some of those music videos. I think maybe because I am also inspired by like gore and horror and stuff like that, and stuff that makes you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's only one video I think I'm dying in, and the rest I'm in uncomfortable situations. And I think it was not so much like morbid, me in peril, me suffering. It was more a portrayal of uncomfortable, kind of challenging visuals, mm-hmm. more than anything,
Which song is it where you're wrapped in plastic?
Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah, that one freaks me out. It's beautiful. Oh. It's beautiful. Like the imagery is beautiful in it. Like you're naked wrapped in this plastic, and
cheapest music video I've ever made. I mean, it was it was someone's garage and $5 for a roll of plastic.
Perfect. That's what it's like. Yeah, Pearl Jam or whoever back in the day wouldn't make videos for $5. It's funny how I picked a band that hasn't made a music video since Jeremy. By the way,
Pearl Jam. That's the only video I know of.
Linkin Park. I should have said Linkin Park. What's the one where you're being dragged through the leaves by the cable, by the cord?
Like the Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really uncomfortable. I mean, a lot is just DIY, the more kind of produced looking ones, it's not so drastic. Mm-hmm. But I think I get really inspired just by pictures, like visuals, and I get I've started to get more into setting up photo shoots and photography recently, because I do have very distinct ideas just in my head, just very visual. And videos have been that medium for me where I can kind of create something off of, there's these images in my brain and I could put them together into this video. And I'm not really sure if there's a deeper meaning. I haven't psychoanalyzed any of it. It's just kind of the visuals in my head that I think are cool or inspiring or uncomfortable and kind of push in a way, kind of get under your skin.
Yep.
And whatever I've had to do to make that happen.
Right.
It's not so much like I want to be suffering or I want someone to see me in this, suffering or in a terrible situation, but it's just, I only have me to work with. I don't have a budget. I don't have a cast of people. So I put myself in those positions where if I had a bunch of money, maybe I would have cast an actress instead,
Right. I totally relate to, by the way, you said that you have a visual in your head that will lead to an entire music video. Mm-hmm. And a few years back, I started directing music videos, and the idea, when I had an idea for a video, it was always one shot, there's mm-hmm. one image I have, and now how do I make that 3 or 4 minutes, and how do mm-hmm. I build around this one payoff? And sometimes it's so challenging to get that. I guess it's like a song where you have an idea of what you want a song to be, and how do you get it out? So music videos, it's fun, that challenge of try to can I get it to match up to what I saw in my head, and will it be interesting?
I think the will it be interesting part is the hardest, because your stuff is, I think, way tighter than mine. There's more of a story, an arc. For me, a lot of my videos are kind of like my songs, where it's just feeling explosion here, that's it. And there's no storyboarded kind of,
well, you said it,
arc or narrative.
Your videos are feeling. It's it doesn't have to be a story involved. It's supposed to make you feel a certain way, whatever you're seeing. It's I've done videos where it's it starts here, there's a middle part, here's the end where someone dies or whatever. But yours are more it's like a drug trip or something where you're just kind of
like,
like,
what the fuck
you're
just
in it.
happened?
Yeah, like, this is weird. I don't know what's happening, but I also don't care because I'm hearing a cool song. I'm seeing a cool thing. And I like it. It's cool. And
Thank you.
I asked about the vulnerable thing because in the videos that I've directed where there's been women in it, usually bad stuff happens to the girls. And someone called me on it a while ago too, where actually when we were filming one of the videos, one of the girls in it who was going to be killed was like, can we do like a switcheroo where it turns out that I'm the actual aggressor? And I said, no, you have to die. You're the girl. That's how horror movies work. And she's like, but why? Why does it have to be the girl being damaged all the time? And I think I never thought about it just as a dude directing stuff. And I love horror movies. I grew up on 80s horror. And that's just kind of how it works, you know?
It's always the dumb girl with the big boobs who's getting killed.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of made me rethink, like, maybe I should think a little bit harder about, expanding my horizons. But, your videos have
the patriarchy.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
I'm a
like
feminist.
I said, it's only me. Like, yeah.
I'm a feminist, Carré.
You're going to trigger me.
Yeah, thank you. Don't say that word. I can't. Oh my God.
You're
the word
triggered by trigger.
Makes me so angry.
Oh, trust me. I know. But, I only have me to work with. So it's not like I have a guy to kill. I'd love that. If there's a guy in my video I could kill, great. So it doesn't have to be me. I mean, that video you're talking about where I'm being dragged around the woods with the cables, like at the end, you see that it's me dragging myself around the woods. Spoiler alert. Yeah. So it's not like dudes it's like I have dudes in my video who are holding me down and whatever, but it's just me. I'm my own worst enemy.
You keep taking my line away. I was going to say that. But well done. I didn't realize that you directed all your own stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was collaborative for a few of them, but yeah, it's all comes from my brain. And
you're like
really like editing it too. I think editing's been really great.
You're like a modern day Fred Durst.
Is that something he does?
He directs all the videos.
Am I the Fred Durst of this generation? My generation?
Yes.
And nobody knows that?
You're the Eazy-E and the Fred Durst of the Asian American female culture.
Dreams do come true.
You finally made it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some, your listeners sent in a good amount of questions and then,
really?
And we'll wrap up. You got a few minutes? You got anywhere to be? All right, cool.
You have reached the voicemail box of
Rare Form Radio. Please leave a message after the tone.
That one's dumb.
That's dumb. Right. So many ones are so dumb.
Will Carre Kwong ever release the music she did over the years with Trent Reznor, Dave Navarro, or Billy Corgan?
No.
I didn't know you did. I didn't know you. Okay, next question. No, I didn't know you made music with Billy Corgan.
I didn't either. Oh no, you know what? I think it was similar to the Dave thing. I think I was recording a song at a studio he was working with, like that he was also recording at, and he helped me with a bridge. I think he may have played the song Secret Safe. Okay. And he helped me with a bridge and we recorded it. He basically wrote a little bridge for it.
How did you guys connect?
Because the producer or the guy, Carrie, do you know Carrie Brown?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was at his studio and Billy was there.
Carrie and I share we share a birthday, by the way. That's how close we are.
Oh, wow. Twin flames.
It means a lot. No, sorry, go ahead.
And Billy was there. And I mean, I've met him several times over the years, and he spent the afternoon kind of helping me figure out another part, a turnaround for the song, and played a little guitar on it. And I scrapped it as soon as he left.
Really?
Yeah. I just felt, and this goes with Dave and Trent too, to answer the question. First of all, I don't even have that stuff anymore. I'm not precious about that kind of stuff. If I'm not into something, I'm not into it and I let it go. No matter who's involved with it. Dave played a pretty Dave Navarro-esque solo on one of my songs. Trent didn't play on my stuff, but I was in the studio while he was recording with Teeth. He had a little setup for me too, and I recorded stuff, and he was overseeing and helping me with that. And those songs are so not who I am. And so far in the past, I would never release them now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But also I didn't release it at the time because as great as all three of those guys are and all the other great musicians I've played with, they're great at what they do and not so much what I do or what I was trying to do. So there's a very Dave Navarro solo on a Queen Kwong song, and it's
Out of place. It just doesn't.
out of place. Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of like, and same with, you know, Billy Corgan, the part that he contributed to my song, it sounded like a Smashing Pumpkins song,
Mm-hmm.
the part in a Queen Kwong song.
Mm-hmm.
So, and same with Trent. And I think a lot of Trent's ideas, which was funny and why I pushed back on the mentor thing, is just because my music isn't so much like his, and he's so great at what he does, but everything he kind of touches, he puts a Trent Nine Inch Nails sound into. And it just doesn't match up with what I'm doing or what my vision is and as an artist. So no, I wouldn't find it beneficial to release anything.
Do you have a tough time collaborating?
I used to think so because of those kind of situations I kept finding myself in. However, no, I don't. It just depends on the person. I no longer force myself into awkward collaborations. It's like, if it's not happening and it's not organic and you don't have the same vision, it's like not something I want to fight over, because then what happens is both people compromise their vision so much and it gets so watered down into something that's like lifeless and doesn't have any identity.
Fair.
So it just really depends on the person. I've collaborated recently in the last few years with a lot of people, and it was great, you know? So I don't have a hard time collaborating. I have a hard time collaborating. I don't have a hard time collaborating with everyone.
Okay.
It just has to be the right people, you know?
Because I have a song for you that I ran by you, and we're going to do it soon.
Yeah, and I was sick, and I remember that. Thanks for reminding me. But I don't, especially, I think I haven't done many collaborations where I just add to another person's art. It's always been like people adding to mine.
Right.
And I think that's also
that makes sense.
Really, and
that's also, it's so much more personal to you, and it's so much more like, this is here to completely represent me. And if it's not perfectly how I think, I just don't want to be misrepresented or something. I don't know.
Well, it's also like my vision. So why I don't want to compromise my vision for the sake of someone else's ego.
Yeah. Don't let Billy Corgan fuck up your music.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on now.
I mean, Dave never talked to me again, but
it's true. That's true. What happened there? I actually don't even know what happened.
Male
there.
ego. I don't even either. I mean, that's what happens though. I think he was my manager at one point, and it's kind of just like, I think when I said, "Hey, I don't think you should be my manager anymore," we were such good friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my best friends. I think a lot of men, especially men in those positions of being used to being celebrities or whatever, you know, are not used to people saying no or firing them, or maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I didn't think of it as like, I'm firing you, because he was one of my best friends, but I was like, you're not the greatest music manager.
Right.
You know, like, no big deal. You're just not good at this. You know, you don't need to be my manager. It's cool. Or like, I'm not going to use your guitar solo in that song because it just doesn't fit. And it's like, yeah, no problem. Totally understand.
Bye.
Block. Yeah. Bye. And I'm just like, okay, you know? Yeah.
Funny. All right, let's move on to another question. By the way, where can people find your podcast, which is called Never Meet Your Idols?
Never Meet Your Idols. It's wherever you find podcasts.
That's the answer right there.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're to be fair, we're not great at, we do it every other week. We're not weekly, but we're on Instagram too. It's Never Meet Your Idols podcast. And we've had great guests. We've had like my friend Roger from The Cure, Nick from The Strokes, John Congleton. We have Dave Sitek from TV on the Radio.
I didn't hear that one. I love that dude.
We're recording it on Wednesday, so
It's
it'll
funny.
come out December 1st.
He's been on my list for a while of guys I want to reach out to have on here. I love talking to him. He worked a lot on the last Jane's Addiction album, and I just love the way he thinks in the studio. I mean, he's like, to me, it feels like if Trent was more laid back and did a bunch of drugs, he would be Dave Sitek, of just like, no ideas, too wild. I'm not saying, by the way, Dave does not do a bunch of drugs. I'm just saying that he would smoke some weed and like,
he's
hook up some wild pedals, and he's a brilliant musician, a brilliant producer.
I've never met him, but I've had so many people over the years be like, you should really work with Dave.
That would be a cool collaboration, I will say.
So many people have said that. So I'm really excited. My friend Laura, the co-host of the podcast, she knows him. She's worked with him. So, but I've been talking to him now for the last week, trying to set up the podcast, and I'm really excited.
Good. I can't wait for that one. Cool. This question is about the podcast. Was Never Meet Your Idols inspired by her working relationships with famous men like Roger O'Donnell and Reznor, and or marriage to Wes Borland? Does she miss having Wes in the band? We covered that. Seems like she never liked it much to begin with.
True. Very perceptive. Was it that obvious?
Yeah. This came from Wes Borland, I guess.
No. The podcast, I mean, I guess maybe loosely, because I've met so many, like, as you have too, just being in this industry and being in LA, you meet all the people who are, you looked up to or whatever. But that question implies that Roger and Trent and all the other famous men I know are my idols, and they aren't. Yep. So, but I know they are idols for other people. And I know,
Trent is my idol. Trent is my guy. That's been since I was a kid.
Really?
My number one.
I don't think I knew that.
Really? I feel like we have.
I mean, I knew you were of course I knew you were into Nine Inch Nails, and really
my favorite band of all time. He is my, I'm not like a David Bowie or Prince fan, but Trent is my John Lennon, David Bowie guy. And
he is for a lot of people. I think my thing with that question is, like, I don't think I have an idol really. Mm-hmm. And the famous people I've met have just been, I mean, a lot of them have been disappointing, but I think humans in general, most people I meet in general, famous or not, are disappointing. So the whole show, the concept was like taking people off of the pedestal and just getting real with them. Yep. Because that's how I see them anyway. Like all these famous men I've had. That question sounds a little bit, what are you trying to say? Right. I don't know why famous men like me so much. I suspect it's because I don't give a fuck about them. And
well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's probably a few things. I mean, you're an attractive woman. You are talented. There's a danger to you, so people are kind of drawn in by all of it. I mean, there's a bunch of things. Like guys could be into it for the wrong reason. To like,
I mean, I've met several who were, but the ones we were mentioned, in terms of Roger and Trent, especially, I think people jump to the conclusion of that there was some kind of romantic notion. There was no romance. I met him when I was 17 and I looked 12, and
you've always talked about him to me as like a father figure, which is,
I mean, there's, so of course there are those guys, but he's not one of them. Neither is Roger. And I think, they're just friends. They're just great friends. And they're real though. And I think, the podcast was maybe born off of that idea of, let's just see these people as real people,
right.
Right. Like, some of them really suck because a lot of people suck.
I think another one of your qualities that people that I've always appreciated is that you've never been in a band waiting for the help. You're going to do it. You're going to drive city to city. You're going to go from Denver to Philly if you have to. People want to come along and help you out. Cool. But you're doing it regardless. So I imagine bands and people that want to support you appreciate the fact that you're going to do it no matter what. And you're not going to rely on anybody except for yourself.
I mean, I think I learned from the get-go that I could only rely on myself. And I think maybe people who are in positions with fame and power are used to people asking them for things or something. And that's just not my style, you know? I mean, I have, but I also that's just not my go-to thing, you know? And
Right.
I never meet someone and think, oh, I should ask them for this, you know?
Right.
Every time I've opened for Nine Inch Nails that's come from Trent, like it's always catches me by surprise, you know? But then I think it's funny though, because I also think those kind of people, they like when someone doesn't need them, but they also end up kind of hating it.
Well, that's also where the ego comes in, because if you listen,
like, I like that you're not like fangirling out on me. And then you fast forward and it's like, how come you're not fangirling out on me?
Right.
You know,
like no matter what, if you're in entertainment, whether you're a stand-up comedian or in music or have a podcast or do anything, you have some kind of ego. You feel like what you have to say is important to somebody. So there's nothing wrong. Some ego, you need it, because ego is also confidence, whether it's based in reality or not. Ego is confidence. So ego is not always bad, but I think you touched on something there where once they realize they're not completely needed, part of that hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's actually the underlying factor, you know, what maybe was one of the bigger issues in my marriage. I also learned it's just, I mean, I will say this, I will never marry another famous person or person of any kind of level of fame ever again. I could say that.
Ted Danson?
Unless it's Ted Danson.
Okay, that's why I put it out there, because Ted's a big fan of the show.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Have you ever had any established famous women reach out to offer guidance or any of that kind of stuff?
A couple over the years, and also just really, I mean, to be honest, a person who I've collaborated with and have found great camaraderie with and also have looked up to is my friend Laura, who's the co-host of Never Meet Your Idols. And she, even though she's not that much older than me, but I found it to be so meaningful to have another woman in the rock industry really embrace me and help me out. And, you know, we are always helping each other out and supporting each other. And it's refreshing.
It's so rare, by the way, especially in music.
So
like
rare.
guys are competitive, but you see so many more guys being friends with other guys in bands. And when there's a girl fronted band, if there's another girl band, they're the fucking enemy.
No, we're pitted against each other because there's usually, this is the issue, is because there's only like one token girl fronted band.
Right.
And it's like, if I'm the token girl fronted band, I have to protect my place as that. You know, I can't like promote this one too, because that's competition for me, you know, until there's a more level playing field where girl fronted bands, there isn't just one token one, there are many, you know, just as many as men. It's like we're all fighting each other for the one spot on the rock festival.
Right.
It's ridiculous, you know, and it's become then girl fronted bands and girl rock was such a trend now, but there's like one trendy band, you know, and that's the one. So it's until that becomes more of a level playing field.
You just made me,
the competitiveness is there for sure.
You made me think of something like earlier in the very beginning of this interview, I compared some of your songs to Mazzy Star when I could have just as easily compared it to like an Elliott Smith. Does it bother you when your comparisons only come from other female acts?
I mean, with journalists, I usually think it's just because they're lazy. I think as a listener, that's just what happens. I mean, you know, I think will be a gradual shift. My harder stuff, the other songs you mentioned, people really struggle to find other girls who are like that. So they just go to like the go-to wild female, Courtney Love. You know, I don't sound anything like Courtney Love.
Not even a little
at all. But like, that's the one other female you could just think of right at the top of your head where it's like, oh, she was wild and you're wild too, you know, and there's no similarities, but I do get a lot of Nick Cave, Iggy Pop, Ian Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
What is it called?
Comparisons. Yep.
So I don't get rubbed the wrong way.
Like to me, your Queen Kwong Live is way more like Black Rebel Motorcycle Club than it is Hole to me. In the best of ways.
After touring with Black Rebel Motorcycle Club last year or the year before, I
forgot that happened. Happened.
Yeah.
But like as far as being like, you have a lot more vibe than Hole does.
No, I don't think we have. We both have vaginas, but that's about it. And so I think that. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. That's it. Really, it's only comparison. Jack asks, is she going to tour again? She's the best live act of our generation, in my opinion. Never seen anyone so honest and wild, there's truth to that.
Thank you.
There's nothing fake about your performance.
Even when I try to fake it, I can't. But, I don't know. At this point, I don't think so, but tours just randomly happen. With how things are right now, I can't, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But financially speaking, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Even if like COVID just disappeared tomorrow, it's just can't afford it right now. No.
In my opinion, we're a year away from real live music coming back, I think.
Yeah. And honestly, by a year from now, I want to be in a place where I'm not doing that bullshit anymore.
Right.
It's hard to say that because I am my entire adult life, I've been touring and playing music. That's who I am. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And I know, and just that comment and what he said, like, thank you, Jack. So it's hard to be like, oh, fuck that, I'm never touring again. I think that's really harsh sounding, but I really want to focus on other things and create stability for myself. We've talked about, I'm divorced. I went through a crazy divorce. I lost literally everything. So, rock band touring isn't number one on my list. However,
if it happens again, it's because it's going to be fun and somewhat
or there's
lucrative.
A bunch of money in it.
Right.
So I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah. Okay. Ask Queen Kwong Carré which song or band flipped the switch in her mind that turned her into a music junkie.
A musical junkie?
Yeah, music. Like what? Was there an artist or a particular song in your youth that made you be like, "This is what I want to do"? I think that's what it means.
I think, PJ Harvey and the Stooges. I think when I heard the Stooges for the first time, I was really young and I didn't really understand any of it, but something about it just felt like it was primal. I was drawn to this, I was just, oh my God, this is it. This is what I need to do. I feel it. It was almost like visceral, innate kind of need and push. And then when I first discovered PJ Harvey, I think in the 8th grade, that was also, I was so blown away, but not only blown away, I felt some kind of oh, there's someone who gets what I'm feeling.
I didn't want to say that it spoke to you, but it spoke to you.
It did. Yeah. Something where I felt, wait, that's me. Obviously it wasn't me, but I felt like what she's doing is what I envisioned myself doing, what I want to do. And that, it did. That was, I think that's when something in me was like, this is what I'm quote unquote supposed to do,
Right. Have you ever met PJ Harvey?
No, never.
Hopefully you do someday. 2 more questions. I'll let you go.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a quick one and then a long one. Dana asks, where is Boba? How come Carré nor West kept him?
Boba is a cat of mine.
Ugh.
I know. He's missing his middle digit, so it looks like he's throwing horns. He has an Instagram page and he was rescued in Detroit. Full disclosure, that we had about 8 cats or 10 cats, Wes and I did, in a very, very large house that we shared in Detroit. And when I lost the house and everything, I was literally homeless and came back to LA and couldn't bring 8 cats with me to crash on sofas. So I had to find other homes for them.
Okay.
Boba is in a great home here in LA, and I've seen him and he's doing great. But I had 2 cats I've had since I was 17, and I had to find new homes for them too. It was like,
oh no,
probably, yeah, Fubar and Bonsai. They had to be separated, and they are living across the country in different homes. And actually, Fubar lives with my 7th grade English teacher, which is super
how weird
weird.
Is that? Weird.
So weird. I mean, it was crazy. It was a nightmare trying to find new homes for the cats. And it was honestly the most painful thing about the divorce. And
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they were, that's a huge part of my life. So yeah, that's why Boba, and then it was like, well, do I go back and get them and take them from their homes when I have a home set up? And I don't think that's fair for them.
Right.
And why Wes didn't keep Boba. Wes, I think people, maybe I'm not giving people enough credit getting this question, because I guess people on social media probably were weirded out too by like Wes being this like cat lover. He loved me, he loved cats, and then all of a sudden me and cats are gone.
You and the cats are both on the street.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I don't, that's his mental illness. So
why did this person ask about Boba specifically? Was Boba like a part of your
I think
your
because
guys' life?
Boba was like, he's the one with the Instagram page,
Oh, you're that person.
Yeah. Well, he's like a heavy metal cat. He is, I mean, if you look him up, he's literally going like this. He has no middle digits. So he was born going like this. So I think his Instagram page is like heavy metal Boba. And he was the cat who was the mascot of our cat rescue. So he has a little bit of like notoriety.
He's got some clout, a cat clout. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. A little background for you. Last week, my co-host told everyone that he's stepping away from the show for a while. So That's why I'm here by myself tonight.
I didn't want to ask. I didn't know. I thought maybe Todd didn't want to see me.
No, Todd is a fan of yours, and Todd quit the show just to get away from you. I don't really know. I doubt it, but sad to hear Todd stepping away. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I wish him all the best, whatever the future holds in store. Here's a question for you and Queen Kwong. What is the biggest claim to fame that you have that you kind of wish you didn't? When I was 21 in 2001, I toured with Lost Prophets on their first UK tours as their merch guy. Even joining them on stage one night to sing Cobra Kai alongside Ian Watkins, who is now serving 30 plus years in prison.
For pedophilia, right?
Yeah, that whole thing.
That whole thing.
Used to be a cool anecdote to roll out now and then. Now it's just about the most non-cool topic you could drop in conversation. By the way, in my experience, he always seemed thoroughly normal to me. Guess he lost his way some years later. That's a rough one, to be like proud of work you did with a certain guy that turns out to be a pedophile.
Pedophilia, there's no like gray area there.
Yeah, there's no he was such a cool dude, but like he touched kids.
Then he became
a
pedophile, but let's just
what you do in your own time is your own business. Do you have like an experience that you wish you didn't?
A lifetime full?
Oh shit.
I don't know, what's yours, Dan?
I'll tell you one off the air sometime. We've talked a little bit about it, but there's one that I have that's like an ongoing situation that I can't talk about.
We've talked about, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing like that. I mean, he kind of stepped on our dicks on that question, because I don't know how to answer that. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I've never looked at like my relationship or my history with Trent as like a claim to fame, but I do think it's made people judge or hinder things. It's hindered maybe my career in other ways because I was so aligned. Like my identity as an artist, people perceived it as like goth I'm not goth. My music isn't like Nine Inch Nails. So it was really strange to always be affiliated with that.
Right.
That's a little strange, and it's worked against me in a lot of ways, maybe more ways than it's worked for me, because
Really?
because I feel like people who've maybe gotten into me, or have taken interest in me because of Trent Reznor have been disappointed to find that I'm nothing like Trent Reznor, that music.
I mean, when you started opening for him, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was just you and a guitar on stage, right?
Yeah.
Before a fucking Nine Inch Nails show, which is like...
it was after his hiatus between The Fragile and With Teeth. So I opened the very first shows. So people hated me. I mean, I could have been anybody. And
I was going to ask, were they screaming at you and booing you and all that?
Oh my God, they were throwing things at me. It was crazy. I had only played like my friends' high school parties at this point and coffee shops.
And now you're in arenas.
And Trent like gave me one of his electric guitars and I was just like, okay, and I went out there and people just, and I was 17 or 18, so it was just like, it was bizarre. And Trent was at the side of the stage, like, it's okay, giving me a thumbs up, like, good job. And I'm just like, people are throwing shit at me, dude.
How do you go out there the first night and have that reaction and then have the balls to go back the next night?
I guess I just have big balls.
I mean, we should probably just end it there. That's so perfect.
I guess I just have big balls.
I mean, it's like, comedians talk about bombing on stage. And usually when comedians bomb, they're in front of, a couple hundred people. You're in front of thousands of people as a teenager.
And I bombed.
Basically severely. Naked. Just you and a guitar. Yeah. Nothing to really hide behind.
I severely bombed. I mean, there have been people who have reached out to me who were there, who saw me bomb. And I think maybe that's what makes me, because I bombed in such a big way so early on, I just never gave a fuck again. I just don't.
There's something kind of beautiful about that. That might be spot on.
Yeah, just whatever. It happens.
Yep. Cool.
No fear, no stage fright. I got the worst out of the way,
Absolutely.
As a teenager.
So quickly, where can people find at Queen Kwong is where people can find you on Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, I forget about Twitter. I'm on Instagram
Bumble.
at Queen Kwong.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't say Bumble.
Is that a thing? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Friendster.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, I shamelessly self-promote as we do my other businesses and the podcast through that account, so people could find me there. And
at Never Meet Your Idols podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at Shop Bath Cult.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm just remembering this, but I am actually recording a new record.
You just remembered that now?
I'm just remembering all this, like, I'm acting like music is over. And then I was like, oh, by the way, follow Queen Kwong for news on my new record. That's just started last week. So
okay.
Sometime next year. But yeah, all of my endeavors. I'm going to go to grad school and
Follow at Carré Grad School, at Carré Grad School on Instagram. Thank you so much for doing this. It was good to catch up. And
I know. Nice to see you.
You're always interesting and always give good insight. And I appreciate it very much.
Oh, thank you. I'm blushing.
Oh, don't be like that.
I'll text you later. We'll do real talk later.
Real talk. We'll talk. We'll
when
give
the cameras
all
are off.
The real answers.
The real answers.
Queen Kwong After Dark coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you to all your people that sent in all these questions. Great job.
Except for the lame ones.
Right, the lame ones. You guys can go fuck yourselves. Give Queen Kwong a follow. Subscribe to this show on iTunes and Spotify and all those places. Please rate and leave reviews. Do the same for Never Meet Your Idols, which is a really cool podcast. I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks.
And we'll have you both on sometime to talk about that once you guys get going down the road.
For sure.
But thank you, Kwong Lady.
Kwong Lady. There it is.
I'm bringing it back.
Okay, bye, Dan.
Bye-bye.
This is Lola, and I'm here to tell the world to stop being such pussies and listen to Rare Form Radio.